Welcome back to the Loft Conversion Challenge. Today we've been working on the second fix. So you can see these cables hanging out the wall here. They are for the lights that will go into the hallway, and we go back into the main room. We've now been fitting the back boxes and pulling the cables through for all of the different electrical points. So we've got a double socket here. So this was put in, the cables, if you remember, were attached to the timber, and we've been locating them and setting these boxes in the right positions and then pulling the cable through ready for the electrician to connect it all up. So if you have a look at this socket, you can see that we've had to make sure that it's entirely square. So you see the lines that have been drawn around it in the pencil. We've had a spirit level on that to make sure that it is horizontal and perfectly level, and then either side of it also making sure that it doesn't get fitted in wonky or incorrect. And then we have to set it at a certain height from the floor for building control. So all of these points have been measured. So you can go into the next one, you can see this doesn't have the back box in it yet. So the small hole in the wall has been put in to find the cable. We've put the back box into this one and pulled the cable through, and then going round into our cubbyhole home office, you can see the one in the corner doesn't yet have its back box in. This is the light switch for this area. So we're going to have lighting for, if you're going to put a desk in here, that will have its own switch. And there's also going to be a light in the cupboard under the eaves, so that's going to be switched there as well. And this single gang socket here is the dimmer switch that will control all of the downlights in the room. So just stepping into the bathroom, this hasn't been boarded yet. We've started it, but it's not yet been done. We fixed the shower valve to the timber, so that's now in position. All the pipe work is ready to go. You can see the black pipe there, that's the soil pipe for the sink. Up here we've got the vent, which will be the extractor fan for the room. So you can see there's a cable there because we need power for that. Just coming over to the windows. Since the last time we showed video, the gaskets have been put on. So these sections around the glass. So last time you could see the glass and you could see the frame. There was a gap between it. These gaskets tidy it all up and make it the finished article. We've put some expandable foam around the window, that's filled the external gaps. And moving over here, you can see the cables that are being fed into the back boxes. So this will be buried in the wall. Once we've tiled everything, these cables will be permanently in there. So you won't see them, but it's interesting to see them at this stage. Moving on to this window, the gaskets have all been put on here as well. So everything's now all sealed up and finalised. The side sections of this window reveal have also been plastered because they weren't done previously. And they're all done and dusted now. We're actually putting a window board across the bottom, so the bottom doesn't get plastered here. That's just going to be a piece of timber that we will paint, and that will be the windowsill, the internal windowsill. Going back to the bathroom now, this is a bit later on in the same day. We've started boarding out everything in anticipation of the tile. So you can see where the shower valve is. We saw it earlier. We've now fitted moisture board around that. We're creating two little cupboards here, so that's why there's big gaps there. And then you can see there's some insulation that's been put into the wall. The ceiling's been plastered. Some of the board's gone on here. This is moisture board again to make sure that we don't get any damp patches. You can see we've covered the floor up a bit more. We've now got the pipes all coming through. That's the soil pipe for the toilet. And all this has been boarded now around the window, so it's all boarded in. Boarded around the new vent, put the white pipe in and the power cables in there as well. So everything's now taking shape, boarded around the pipes for the radiator. That'll be fitted once the tiling is done. So later in the same day, we've now finished all the boarding around here. You can see we've created these two cubby holes inside the shower. So the big one is for all the shampoo bottles, the top one just for some candles and nice things to dress the room. this will all be tiled in, and then above that is where the shower head will be fixed, so that's going to come out about 400mm, so the shower head will be set quite away from those two little cubby holes. And we've also got a shaver socket in this room, so we fitted it into this cavity because we've got the space to do it. That'll be alongside the sink and the mirror on the wall, so that's all going to look quite nice and be useful for charging your toothbrush. And coming back into the room, you can see that the plaster is still not dry. It's had the whole weekend to dry out, but there's a lot of moisture goes into plaster, so it does take quite a long time before it's 100% dry. And you have to make sure that your plaster is totally dry before you paint, because if you don't, your paint will all flake off. So you can see all the dark patches on the walls here is where it's not dry yet, and this cupboard space is not dry. Also, if you look through here now, we're waiting for all of this to dry, so this is still going to be another couple of days probably before we can paint. But if you look inside this eaves cupboard, you can see that we've now plastered the underside of the eaves and the corners of the cupboards. Most of the time people don't do this, they leave it like this, which this board is not visible, so it doesn't matter. But it's a much better finish if you can get your plasterer to actually crawl in there and plaster it. It is a bit of a pain for them, but definitely worth it. And then just having a quick look out into the hall, you can see that there's a lot of dark patches here. There's less flow of air because this window doesn't open, so there's less chance of the moisture going away, so it's quite dark out here. So it's definitely going to be another few days before this is ready to paint. Okay, so moving on to the tiling of the bathroom itself. Come in here, you can see they've got a big bucket of adhesive made up. So the way the guys are doing this is to put a large amount of adhesive onto the wall. So they're putting it on the wall, not on the tiles. So you can see here, this has been put on with a spreader, so it's sitting out quite thick. But you can see the grooves in it, which mean that when you push it on, it sucks in the tile, and you can push out all of that airspace. So you can see the guys here, it's a much easier way of doing it, that they measure the space for the tile, bring the tile in, and then they can just push it on into place with the adhesive just holding the tile. And that will set overnight, that'll go rock hard. So you can see the side wall's already been done. So it's been measured out so that you can have the nice straight line down the middle. So the guy out here, he's got an angle grinder there, he's just trimming off a small piece of tile because we're putting a mosaic, so there'll be a 2-piece mosaic all the way through here. It's a silver mosaic, it'll just give it a really nice finish. You can see the red line there, that is their laser measure, so they're making sure that the lines of the tiles are perfectly straight and in line with where we want them. So when he puts a new tile in, he's got the red laser measure up the middle, he knows exactly where to set it, and then just fits it in. And then you're just using a traditional tile cutter, so style you'll have seen before. Just measure it as a measuring across the thing, you drag it across, it breaks the tile off, the piece that you don't need, and then you've got a perfectly sized tile to be able to just bring in and literally just push into place because we've got the adhesive. He's measuring up for the next one now, so he knows exactly how much to cut it, just making sure that the wall is square. And then the spacers, which is used to put the grout in later, what he's doing here, because the adhesive's still wet, he can move the tiles, so he's just got a small tool which he's just pushing a sort of 2mm gap between the tiles, and he's able to put the spacers in, and then that makes sure that we'll have nice straight grout lines, that they're all lining up. You can see if you look on the back wall and the wall he's working on that all of the horizontal grout lines line up, so it's a nice tidy finish, going to look really excellent once it's completed. So it just shows here that the speed, once you've got the adhesive on the wall and you know where you're setting your tiles out, actually laying the tiles is relatively quick. He's just putting some more spacers in to make sure everything stays nice, neat, straight, perpendicular, everything's in line. So it should look really fantastic to get the spirit level out here to make sure that the tiles are being set level against the walls, that you're pushing them in far enough so that everything is flush. So we've got the laser measure going up the middle, we've got spirit levels going on horizontally and vertically. So it's really starting to take shape. So This wall should be finished relatively soon. So this wall will be done. The side wall of the shower has also been done. And then if once he's finished straightening off all of this, you can have a look around the rest of the room. You can see the gap here that he's working on is where the mosaic will be going. That's going to go all the way around the whole room, so you can see it cutting across the middle of the shower. It's also to the right. They haven't done that yet, but they've done the tiles beneath it, so they've done up to that point. The mosaic will cut round all the way here, and then on this side the mosaic will sit on top of these tiles. You can see here that they've had to drill holes in the tiles to fit over the radiator pipes, but that is going to look fantastic when the radiator comes straight out of the wall. And they've just worked around at that same level. Here's the soil pipe where the toilet's going to be, and you can see the floor tiles are also been put down, and this is the adhesive that they're using.